Welcome back to Truth is Freedom. Dennis Cummins here, and we are talking about DVEs, Domestic Violent Study, that has been put out by the Attorney General. And first two episodes, we talked a little bit about the challenges and the problem, but today we're going to talk on how to unpack this and how do we address this. I've got our special guest, Mark Herr, with the Center for Self-Governance. And Mark, it's just been great to be able to do this program and really shed some light on what's going on. This is a hot topic, and we know that our legislative body has the majority votes that they could shove this through. And so we got to figure out how to preempt this while we can to stop this. I know they got a lot of weight and horsepower behind this, but in all reality, this report, I'm thinking that the Attorney General should be ashamed of himself for targeting people with biblical values. They're making it illegal to have your own thoughts and your own values and to be able to state this openly. And I think more pastors need to wake up. And those of you that are watching and you're wondering where your pastor stands on this, I think you should have a conversation, have the dialogue with your pastor and find out where they stand on this, because our rights and our freedoms are at stake nationwide. So Mark, welcome back. And let's talk about how we address this, because I read the bill that is going to be, is that right? The bill that he put forth to be submitted? And yes. This committee that he wants to put together of people to be included in that, people from the LGBTQ community, Jews, Sikhs, Muslims, basically every religion, but there's no mention of Christians or Christianity representation to be on that council or that review board.
That is correct. And the bill that you're referring to is, so the Attorney General wrote the report to the legislature and recommends that they implement this. And so it would require an act of the legislature to do this. And it's House Bill 1333, and the sponsor is Representative Bill Ramos. And so let me kind of walk you through, like, what do you do to be a part of the conversation? Mm-hmm. Which is the most important thing we can do as a human being, is be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
We're excluded from the conversation because of the Puritan Quaker paradox. The Puritans are looking at the Quakers right now saying they don't deserve a seat at the table because their doctrine is bad. They're heretics and witches. We need the government to protect us. Let's form a commission to study it. Okay. And then the rabbit hole. Yeah. So the commission is the first step. A 2-year commission. They need the legislature to buy off. There's basically 2 ways they can accomplish this: through Bill 1333. Sponsor is State Representative Bill Ramos, or they can inject it into the budget without a representative. They can a single line in the budget. Excuse me. So I would suggest number 1 is remain calm. Mm-hmm. That's number 1. Is to understand how people are being exploited with this. Their fears are being exploited. Okay. And there's no difference here than in the Garden of Eden. They just simply exploited fear. Yeah. And she saw that it was good for food, survival instincts. Mm-hmm. So the first thing is to step back and identify the meaning of words. What does extreme mean? What is stakeholder? Is there a legal definition? I can tell your audience right now, there is no legal definition for extreme in the state of Washington. There's no legal definition for domestic terrorism, domestic violent extremism, stakeholders. There's a lot of deficiency here. And it's important for us to say, when we communicate while we're remaining calm, if we're going to label people extreme, or we're going to say we need diverse stakeholders, or we're going to have an extremism organization list, and we're going to weaponize the law enforcement and the Department of Health, if we're going to do all of these things, before we go there, what does it mean? What does extreme mean?
Yep.
And do we have a say in what that means? So I don't think I'm extreme, but I'm a Quaker. So the Puritans don't care what I say.
Right.
All right, so that's number 1, is remain calm and be a part of the conversation. What does it mean? Don't ignore this as a conspiracy theory. It's a real bill. It's a real report. These are really things happening when you compare and contrast pro-life, coercing Supreme Court justices. So remain calm, be a part of what does it mean. Number two is, I think it's important when you interact with your representatives, especially in the House, that you are not confrontational.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys, I'm gonna take you out, you know what I mean? Okay, you better do what I say. I elected you. You work for me, you know, that kind of stuff. The language, they've been trained to see that as extreme.
Yep.
And so you're trying to be a part of what does it mean, then don't do that. I highly recommend that. Don't do that.
Right.
So if you call Bill Ramos, for example, if you don't take this bill off the thing, we're going to come to your house. Guess what? You just proved their point. Domestic violent extremism, domestic terrorism, threats, coercion, intimidation. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Build the relationship. And I know kind of right now it feels, for those of you who are concerned about it, you're kind of like anxious. And we're not trying to stir up your anxiety. That's not from a higher source. We're trying to say to you is that this is the time for you to learn self-governance. Unless you deny yourself, pick up your cross, follow him, you can't do this. It won't work. You're going to find yourself in prison or killed or something. Okay. So we don't want that for you. I don't want that for anybody, quite frankly, any human being.
No way.
Is don't be confrontational. Remain calm. Be a part of the conversation. What do these terms mean? Where's your list? You can decertify law for extremism organization. Where's the list? Show us the list. Who created the list? What's the definition of extreme? How do I get off the list? You know what I mean? All those questions. Due process.
Yep.
And that's kind of your argument. When you do build the relationship, you're asking questions about what are the definitions? What are the guarantees for due process? Don't tell me anecdotes like we're going to protect civil liberties and have them go through constitution classes. That's one of the things they say in there. No, wait, whoa. Let's talk about the due process itself. If you get on this list, what's the process to get off the list? If you're an organization, you're listed, how do you get off the, or you know what I mean? What's the process?
Yep.
What's the process to get on? What's the process to get off? Make it clear, not ambiguous, and have those conversations and ask questions. You know, if you think this is a conspiracy, ask questions. Hey, these people are saying this stuff. Is this true? Be a part of the conversation. When you contact them, don't confront. Ask questions. What does it mean? What is the due process? What is the process of due process, right?
Yeah.
And then ask them, say, listen, can we postpone this commission while we analyze this stuff before we go down this rabbit hole? Or if you do, and literally, if you guys are going to do this commission, can you at least define in your bill what diverse stakeholder means? Is it only going to include these organizations or these groups and not these groups and not these groups because we think they're extreme, not because they are, because we think they are? That's not, is that due process? Is that justice? Is that diversity? Is that inclusion, right? Is that equity? Those are kind of words I would use to ask the questions. And then lastly, and I'll repeat these one more time for everybody. Lastly, most importantly, make sure that if they cancel this commission for now, that you purposely commit to be part of this conversation over the next 2 years. For example, get your affidavits together of how you feel victimized, so it becomes a data point, and you send it. You send it somewhere. Give it to somebody. Don't, right? Share it with the pastor. Pastor has you on. I can't believe your story.
Yeah.
Now it's a data point, right? The other is get it to the select committee in DC. Start building a relationship with your congressman. Hand them that paper. By the way, if you haven't been victimized and you're like, this is a conspiracy, you need to start finding the people who have been.
It's not that far removed from you. That's for sure.
Not that far removed. It's happening a lot, and it's going to increase more if this thing, especially the definitions and the labels are not reined in, and I don't mean eliminated, if they're not clearly defined and we have a clear process. So number one, remain calm. Number two, ask questions. What does this mean? Extreme. Is there a legal definition? I'll just tell everyone there isn't one.
Yeah.
Stakeholder, there isn't one. Domestic terrorism, there isn't one in our state. So what does that mean? Questions. Number 3, don't be confrontational. If you call Bill Ramos's office, you're not, you just confirmed why he needs to pass the bill.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Self-govern. Learn to govern yourself first before trying to govern Bill Ramos, right? Or trying to, okay. And then fourthly, the commission itself, be involved. Should we postpone it? If you do, can you make some clear definitions, like who gets to be a part of this commission? Like here's what I would recommend. If it was me and they asked me, Mark, who do you think should be on this commission? Pastor Dennis, along with the Muslims, and then I think business owners, and I think realtors. I think it should be a diverse representation of not just a racial community or a religious community, but economic community, political community. Make it diverse.
Yeah.
If they do pass it and they don't do that, then we have to make a lot of noise when it comes to who's been victimized outside of their world, because William von Spronson is a real data point that's not included in their domestic terrorism study. The SPLC, the expert, they really did. It's a real video of a real interrogation of a real mass shooter who said, I got it off SPLC's website. That's a real thing. And then the compare and the contrast. How many have been arrested? How many haven't? Compare and contrast that data without the emotion, because you have your beliefs, they have their beliefs. You've got to figure out how to communicate. It should affect all, not just some. Those would be the 5 suggestions I give to them, Pastor. Oh, the 5th one. The last one is, if you've been victimized by the weaponization of labels in government, as a parent, as a business owner, or a Christian, or a Muslim, or whoever you are, you should write it down in an affidavit, have it notarized, have someone witness it, please, bare minimum. This is my true testimony. This is what happened to me. And if you can get it on one page, my name, what happened to me, or why it happened to me, and how it happened. And get that to somebody. Pass it to your representative, Bill Ramos. This is why we need to pause this. Or get it to your state rep, or your federal Dan Newhouse, or whoever your congressional staff is, or directly to the select committee.
Awesome.
Sorry, it's a lot to absorb.
No, it's great. I mean, they really try the shotgun approach and to overwhelm us, kind of the blitzkrieg effect on all fronts. And unfortunately, we just got to stay vigilant. And, as Jesus said, be wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. And we do have to be strategic in our approach on this, but we just can't sit on our hands and stay silent. I don't believe in the silent majority. I believe that we have to use our voices and we have to strategically speak out. And so I really want to challenge our listeners. Let's share this out and let people know what's going on. So many people aren't aware. They're just not aware. They're so busy trying to figure out if they need to buy a gallon of gas or a gallon of milk, and they're in survival mode. But this is absolutely critical because your free speech is at stake. So, Mark, tell us a little bit. How do we get in contact with you? And tell us a little more about the Center for Governance, Self-Governance.
Anybody can find us at centerforselfgovernance.com. We're on all the social media that there is, every kind there is. What we do is we teach self-governance. We teach 3 types, not 3 types of self-governance, 3 levels of self-governance. For the Christian community, we have a biblical origins of self-governance class. For those who are less faith-based oriented, we have a foundation in self-governance class, practical application. How do I be self-governing? And then we have a leadership in self-governance series, so people can learn some of the stuff I was talking about is a little bit maybe over some of your listeners' heads. Like, man, that's a lot for me to absorb, Mark. Emotional, confrontational, do this, call here, okay. Yeah. Our leadership in self-governance is for those people who want to learn that skill set, strategically think. They see themselves as a leader, but specifically leadership in self-governance.
Yes. Excellent. Well, thank you for your time. So appreciate this. And Thank you to all of our listeners. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this out, and let's make an impact, because truth is freedom. When you know the truth, it shall set you free. Thank you, and God bless.